Y'all already know why I'm laughing. Like a joke. A joke. But I got the win that I wanted. Y'all know whenever they first started talking, I called them what the winners. So I love being right in the end. They were who I wanted to win, even though I was pissed off last week. They were the ones who I wanted, not last week, on Friday. They were the ones that I ultimately wanted to win, but y'all know Ace and Shelley should have been in the finals. They should have been in the finals, and that was my whole point. They should have been in the finals, and two of the couples that finished third and fourth should not have been there. The one that finished third definitely shouldn't have been there. But we'll get to that. But I got to start this off thanking y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for being here with me this season. Like, y'all have literally done so many things for me that I cannot begin to thank y'all enough for. Like, I went from 8,000, I want to say 100 subs to almost 12,000 subs in just a matter of 6 weeks. That's in large part due to y'all thumbsing up the videos, dropping the comments, engaging with me. That's the thing too. The engagement helps so much. Like, y'all have literally been in my comments talking to me all day long, every single day, which makes it so much easier for me to get on here every single night and actually give y'all the energy that y'all give me. So I just want to thank y'all again for that, being here with me this season. But stay here with me because we still got Beyond the Villa. They dropped that episode, which I found crazy that they dropped it earlier today, just randomly. And I didn't see it, which I wish I would have saw it. I saw it whenever I was getting ready to go to my cousin's wedding, which was around like 12 o'clock. And I'm like, I literally have to be out the door in an hour, so I couldn't do it. If I would have done it, if I would have known that they dropped it earlier, because I went to the gym at like 8 o'clock, I literally could have done it at 9. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. We got that. We found out at the end of this episode, we got Love Island Games coming in September. So y'all gonna see me there. So just stay locked to the channel. Stay locked to the channel. I got other stuff going on too. Like I told y'all, I'm doing Big Brother. I got The Valley that's wrapping up. I got, what else do I have? Big Brother, The Valley. I got all types of shit coming up. All types of shit coming up. So stay locked to the channel. Turn your post notifications on. Be here with me because we're gonna ride this Love Island season all the way through. And I'm glad we're finally done with this tragic season. Tragic. But let's get on into it. This is going to be a little bit different. I ain't going to talk too much about much because the dates I really didn't get too much of a fuck about. But there was one in particular that cracked me up. And I just cannot wait to get to it. And y'all already know what I'm talking about. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go. Especially because it's almost 12 o'clock at night. Let's go. All right, so we get back to where we left off, which is the Final Four. They're celebrating being the Final Four. Nick and Olandria, they're tonguing each other down. Like, tonguing each other down on the couch. I was like, okay, interesting. But he didn't ask her if she knew that he had kissed her the first night when they were blindfolded. And she said she was wondering who it was. And he was like, I mean, yeah, I was the one that did it. And I did it because I was interested in you. And she asked why initially. And that's why he stated it. And she was like, why didn't it happen before? And he was like, I don't know. We all know because Ace, in one of his interviews, confirmed that Taylor literally blocked him basically from getting to know her. Because apparently he had told Taylor that he actually wasn't interested in Olandria early on, which is interesting. Like I said, I don't doubt that Nick has a crush on her and had a crush on her. I mean, there's a reason why he did what he did at the beginning, and there's a reason why she did what she did. Y'all know my stance on this Nick Olandria stuff. I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt. I do. I mean, they're gonna explore it after the show, in their sake, for their sake. I hope it works for them. I really do. But I still gotta see. I still gotta see more. But we'll get to it. Y'all gonna be mad at me, and I don't know why y'all be mad at me because I don't see it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I be trying my hardest to see what y'all see, but I just don't. But don't bring the out for me because like look. But he then states that he didn't know. He said that there was an interest. He had an interest, but the villa kind of turned him in different directions. Did the villa or did you, Nick? Did you? But she then says that you were always in a love triangle. That's what happened. We got a scene with Bryan and Amaya. They're up in soul ties. They're kissing. He's telling her how good she looks. Huda and Chris, they're shook that they're still even there. Yeah. Because it makes no sense as to why y'all are still there. But she then talks about how she had left her daughter and she finally put herself first for once coming in there. I was like, you having a child, you should know that you're not going to be able to put yourself first per se because your child is first. Honestly, when you think about it. But I mean, I guess I get her. I mean, she has to think about herself too. Your life doesn't stop as a mom, but you have to put your child before yourself for the rest of your life when you have a kid. But I get her in that instance. But she then tells him that she's thankful for meeting him. He agrees. Iris and Pepe, they over there kissing each other as per usual. But everybody's getting ready for bed. Everybody's sleeping. But Huda is in the bed with Chris, who is trying to sleep. And she wants to cuddle. Basically do what he has pretty much stated that's his biggest issue, is that she wants to do all this physicality stuff when they're in the bed. And that's the only time she wants to do it. And this time he's actually asleep, or at least trying to sleep. And in my mind, I'm thinking he's either trying to sleep or he's just thinking, okay, well, you don't want to give me PDA out in public. We're not going to be fucking in this bed. We're not going to be doing nothing in this bed. We're just going to lay here and act like we do in public, which I'm not even mad at him for that, because like, you can't play games with me and then have your cake and eat it too. Basically, you get to have sex with me in the bed, but I can't get no kiss out in public. So we're just not going to do anything. That's just what we're going to lay here and sleep. So that's basically Chris's mindset. And she ends up counting down to him, talking about she wanted to cuddle or whatever. He's like, I'm trying to sleep. And she said, this is what she stated to him. If not cuddling is worth me being upset in the morning, congrats. That's the battle you're going to get tomorrow. I said, but she's changed. The hood rats. Y'all stated that she's changed. Is this changed behavior? She's sitting here giving him ultimatums about her potentially crashing out tomorrow. That's changed behavior. That's changed behavior. And then not only that, you're begging a man to literally cuddle you. The fans that love Huda state they see so much of themselves in Huda. So if you are a woman that begs a man to show you physicality, begs a man to show you attention, and you still stay in that revolving cycle, go see a therapist. Secondhand embarrassment. Like, y'all saying that y'all see yourselves in Huda, y'all don't be embarrassed saying that shit. Wild. But she then starts counting down. You got 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And he ain't turning around. And I was dying laughing. I was like, good, Chris, don't even do it. But the next day, Amaya ends up waking everybody up. Huda gets a text about every couple pretty much going on their final dates. Olandria and Nick, they are up first. So their date, she states that she's hoping for some romance because he gives her butterflies. He states that this date will be a telltale sign on if they're pretty much going to pursue it in the future. But they head off on a boat to a private island. I love these type of dates that they do for Love Island, the final episodes, when they take them to a private island. Because I just like seeing the scenery, the water. I just love all of that. But they walk down a beach hand in hand, and they get these little checkpoints, essentially. Competition show. They get these checkpoints where they have these bottles with messages from fans. And they're pretty much telling them how much they love them and whatever. And they, as they're reading it, they're like, damn, like everybody else has been seeing something that we haven't seen. Not everybody. The swirlers have. But, I mean, cool. I mean, that do what you got to do with it. But they finally get to this pink setup where they have these flowers. It's a romantic setup. They got these pink pillows. They got flowers. They got fruit. They got champagne. So they sit down and Nick ends up asking her if she's ever been in love. And she says in the past, she's fallen in love with potential. It all makes sense. She's fallen in love with potential and she realizes that that's what she did in the villa. I said, I'm glad you finally realized it. Because that is what she did. Like, she saw potential in her eyes with Taylor and she locked in on that. And she stayed on that for pretty much the entirety of her journey, which was wasted time. But it just makes sense. Like, and it's sad when you see somebody like Olandria falling in love with potential. You should never have to try and fix something trying to be in love with it. Like, it should just be natural. It should be something that is just progressively moving forward. And somebody like her shouldn't have to be working so hard to get a man to want her and commit to her. But Nick didn't ask her that. Nick says that love is essentially a seed that you keep watering as it grows, if it's reciprocated. But she ends up asking if he's ever been in love. And he says twice. And he says essentially third time's a charm, which he's talking about them. And they start talking about the pacing in their communication, how it's going to be outside in the villa. And she then talks about how no other man has met her mom before. Nick is the first one. So they start talking about how their mothers love them. And she's talking about how she's going to be in Florida. He says he's excited for her to meet his dad. And she can't wait for him to meet her friends. But he then tells her how much he appreciates her. And she then says that she wants to continue to have his back outside in the real world, and it'll never change in the real world. And he's like, I just want to keep exploring what we got. No matter what the result is, whether they're friends or not, they're still going to be cool, and they're still going to be, they got love for each other. And I do believe that. Like, that's one thing that I will state. Even if I don't see it romantically for them, I do see them being in each other's life for a while. Because you could tell there is genuine love there. Whether it's romantic love or not, that's to be determined. But honestly, I feel like they genuinely appreciate each other as people. So good for them. But she then says same. He leans in for a kiss. They kiss. Yeah, still getting friend vibes, but I mean, cool. But he ends up going. They end up going upstairs. They go hiking up to the top. They go hiking up to the top. It's 12 o'clock at night, y'all. They go, and I've been literally talking in social from 12 p.m. till 8 p.m. But they go hiking up, and there's 2 other bottles up there, and they're from their family. The first one is from Nick's dad. He's pretty much telling him how proud he is of him and how much he likes Olandria as well. And he pretty much echoes the same sentiments that his mom did. Olandria gets her message, and hers is from her sisters, and they're pretty much echoing the same sentiments. They're all team Nick Olandria. They want them together. They like them together. And Olandria immediately starts crying whenever because Nick read hers and she read Nick's. And both of them got emotional listening to it. And she's like, my sister's approvals mean so much to me because they mean so much to me. That's why she started crying. You could tell how much they do. And we know with her being the older sister, being an elder sibling, you really look out for your younger siblings, which, I mean, my sister, she's 2 minutes younger than me, but that's how I am. Like, it's something that being an older sibling, you just having your younger siblings truly give you so much, what am I trying to say? Approval and just look up to you and that type of shit. Just, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. But Nick said that he was curious about what his dad had thought with him not being there. So hearing that reassurance of how proud he is of him makes him feel great. And yeah, and then her little sisters ended up telling her too that tells Shelley that she's gained 2 sisters. Loved hearing that. And then yeah, telling her how much of a role model she's been. And they're crying and whatever. So shout out to them. Good date for them. And they walk further to the edge of the water, which is a beautiful shot. It is a beautiful shot. I wonder if the producers made them go walk all the way down there. But they shared a kiss, which camera was right there. It was like, okay, set up. But they was kissing, and shout out to them. Good for them. Good for Nick Olandria. Nick Olandrians, y'all got y'all's tongue downs this episode that you didn't get. But I do want to mention, too, why did they edit out their conversation with their parents together? Y'all know how we saw Nick and Olandria talking with their families separate, but we didn't get to see them together? I found that interesting because I would have actually liked to see what that conversation was. And I know it probably was a good conversation considering how both families are very team Nick Olandria. And I would have liked to have seen how they interacted all together, which, again, is showing that producers are manipulating shit, truth be told. But we get Bryan and Chris at the dock, and Chris is telling him, like, me and Huda got to talk about some shit. Like, my energy is off. And he then says last night she was trying to be touchy with me when I was trying to sleep. And her first reaction to me not doing it was trying to count down like 3 seconds like I'm her child. And Bryan was like, yeah, like a mom. I said, interesting. But we'll get to it. But Kristen says, yeah, she kept poking at me and pretty much telling me like we shouldn't have to argue. I shouldn't have to argue about wanting to go to sleep. I said, exactly. If I want to go to sleep, let me go to sleep. Like at this point, you trying to force some shit on me. But Huda then asks for Amaya's advice as they're having this conversation. And she's pretty much stating that there's things that she's trying to keep to herself about Chris because he gets defensive when she brings it up. But she then says that she likes when a man is all on her all the time. I said, you're literally contradicting yourself. If that was true, you wouldn't have a problem with PDA. If you want a man on you all times, that means all times, which means outside of the bed, Huda. Which means you don't make sense. You don't make sense. You just like your damn fans. Like, y'all don't make no sense. Because how do you not like PDA in public but want a man on you at all times? But we all know it's bullshit because she had no problem with PDA when it came to Jeremiah. Like, what the fuck? You just don't like him. That's just really what it is. But she talks about how she has to put her hands, like move his hands to put them on her, which is pretty much what I stated. Like, you should be embarrassed doing it. But Amaya then asked, like, when's the last time you brought it up to him? And she was like, last night, but he turned away and I just slept cold. Basically stating like he didn't want to cuddle her. He don't like you. Like, that's the whole point. Granted, he wants the physicality, but I don't believe either one of them really like each other like that. Y'all are literally using each other to get to the end. Like, let's just keep it all the way above. But she then says, like, he's telling me he wants to be physical, but I'm wondering where's the physicality. Huda, stop playing. Stop playing. The physicality is not there anymore on his end because he's tired of playing with you. He's tired of the games that you're playing with him. So at this point, he's like, fuck it. There's no point in doing it because you literally said you don't want PDA. So you're not going to get any PDA or any behind the scenes DA. But she then says either he figures it out or it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. But we figured that out later on. But Chris then asked Bryan, like, what would you do in this situation? And Bryan says he would still try. Bryan, hang it up. This is not something that can be fixed. I'm like, do it. Try for what? Try for what? But Chris then says that he's going to put his best foot forward on this date. But if it happens on the date again, he might crash out. I said, let's see if it happens. But Amaya tells Huda, like, you're not going to find the perfect person. Like, there's never going to be somebody out here that is perfect, which is true. And she's like, essentially, you're going to have to work through things, and pretty much tells her she needs to communicate. But the problem is these two don't effectively communicate because he tries to talk, she cuts him off, and then he just gives up. And then sometimes when he has the opportunity, when she asks him, okay, what can I do better? He don't want to tell her. So it's like both of them are ineffective when it comes to communicating. It's like, it's never going to work. But Iris gets a text that her and Pepe have a date next. They head out on their date. Nick and Olandria, they're coming back from their boat and they're screaming to the islanders as they're talking to them as they're getting off the dock. And Olandria goes to tell Huda and Amaya about their date. Nick tells Bryan and Chris. So Olandria pretty much tells them everything that happened on the date and how they were shocked about how much America and their families love them. And Nick is pretty much telling the boys the same thing. It tells them, like, we had additional notes from our families, from my dad and her sister, and they pretty much are gung-ho. They're team Nick and Olandria. But Olandria then tells the girls the same thing. It says that her sister's note kind of took her by surprise and she got super emotional. And as we all know, Olandria don't really cry in here. Like, she's probably, the times that we can probably count on one hand how many times she's cried. But, she was like, just them being so supportive of her and Nick just makes her want to go 10 times harder, which I was like, okay, that's interesting. But, yeah. So he ends up telling us, too, that everybody sees something in them, and it would essentially be a waste of time and a waste to not explore what people see on the outside. I mean, I get it. It just sounds like y'all are trying to do it because y'all know people love y'all, which is not the right way to do it. Just do it if you genuinely feel it. Which, I mean, I do believe he genuinely feels it. And I feel like Olandria at this point is trying to see if she really, really feels it. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with exploring it. So, if they want to explore it in the outside world, I'm all here for it. Hopefully, they prove me wrong. I just don't see it. But hopefully, they do. If they do, good for them. But Iris and Pepe, they're on the boat. Huda and Chris, they get their... I literally knew I was going to do this, and I was trying not to laugh doing it. But I knew I was going to laugh. I don't care about what they're talking about. Iris and Pepe, they were on a boat. That's all I got for you. But Huda and Chris get their text for their final date. And she's telling the girls as she's getting ready about the physicality still. It's not there. It's not there. Why is it not there, Huda? It's because of you. But they head off for their date. And he's talking about how he's got some shit that he wants to address with Huda in a respectful way. And then see if they can move on from there. So while they're heading off to their date, Nick, Olandria, and Bryan and Amaya, they're waiting on Pepe and Iris to come back. They come back. The energy when they came back from everybody else coming back from their dates was different. Apart from Huda and Chris. We'll get to that in a minute. But with Nick and Olandria and Amaya and Bryan's, everybody's energy was high. When they saw them back, oh my God, you're back. When Iris and Pepe came in, it's just like, oh, hey. And it was the same on their end. Like, they just are low energy. Nobody really cares. Like, you can tell they're boring. Like, you can tell they know that they're boring, too. But they filled them in on their day. Iris and Pepe do when they come back. But the boys are starting to speculate on how Huda and Chris's date is going, considering they don't really see eye to eye on anything, which is because they don't really like each other. But Huda and Chris, they have a very romantic setup for their date. Like, this would have been great for somebody that actually liked each other. Ace and Chelley, truth be told. Taylor and Clarke, that would have been good for them. But they start eating, and they start off with the fake bullshit, like, about finding each other. I found what I'm looking for, bullshit. So he then claims that he sees potential in them. And she says, like, it's going well. Our chemistry is there, but there are things that we need to work on, and we need to address to avoid these issues and animosity going forward. So she then asked him, as she's been asking him, if there's something that's bothering you, I just want you to tell me and tell me now. So he says communication is what we don't have. And we don't really talk about the things that we don't like. AKA, like, when he starts, like I said earlier, she cuts him off. He doesn't know how to finish it because she keeps trying to cut him off, and then he gives up eventually. But he then talks about how she wasn't listening to his perspective about the whole PDA thing and the kissing and stuff. And she tries to cut him off again. Literally. And he then says, I don't play about my sleep, and you need to not, she said, and then for you to not understand that I need to sleep and then try to get pushy and try and catch an attitude with me, that was crazy. I'll feel him on that. Me, I'm the type of person, if I want to go sleep, I want to go sleep. Like, we can cuddle or whatever, but if it's time for me to go to sleep, it's time for me to go to sleep. We need to shut our eyes. Like, at this point, roll over and go to sleep. Like, at this point, I don't want to cuddle anymore. I want to sleep. So go to sleep. So, but that's the boundaries that they have to set those boundaries. But not only that, I feel like Chris probably would have cuddled with her if she didn't act the way she's been acting with the whole PDA thing. I truly feel like he did that on purpose. Like, I feel like he wanted to sleep, but I feel like he would have cuddled with her if she didn't do what she was doing. So that's Huda's fault, and I'm not mad at him for it. But he then says that I don't play about my sleep, like I just said. She's trying to interject, but he's pretty much she's trying to interject, but she's trying not to interject at the same time. But you can see it all over her face, and she's getting annoyed, and she's starting to make these faces. But he says, you counting down, and she then cuts him off again and says, I know you were awake. I said, if he wants to go to sleep, let him go to sleep. But she then asked him to explain, and he's like, let me finish. And he says that you doing that shit makes me feel like I'm a kid, and I'm a grown-ass man. I said, who does that sound like? Y'all remember when Jeremiah said the same shit? So guess what? It's a pattern with Huda, which means Huda has not changed. The hood rats are going to be in the comments. But she then says that they had a celebratory day about the Final Four, and she wanted to cuddle. And she likes when a man grabs her and her having to pull him almost every night. That is a problem to her. And I'm like, at this point, you need to realize he doesn't like you. If you have to tell that man to keep touching you and giving you attention, because a man that really likes a woman is going to show that woman a lot of attention. It's going to be natural. You're going to want to do it because you're always thinking about her. You want her to know that you are thinking about her. Like, that's where Huda got to start loving herself, because she would see those signs. And I do feel like what a lot of people stated online, if Chelley gave Chris the time of day, it wouldn't be no Huda and Chris. Chris settled for Huda for the game. He knew at this point she's popular online. I'm probably going to get me an easy ride to that money. The only difference is he didn't anticipate the shit that she was going to come with, even though I don't understand why he didn't, because he literally watched how she acted before he got there. But he didn't tell her to stop talking to him like that. And like, if my mama don't talk to me like that, you're not going to do it. And she was like, I mean, we both did things that were wrong. At this point, ignoring me is not the answer either. Y'all both did things that were wrong. Like I said, both of y'all did things that are childish, and it's not going to work in a healthy adult relationship. Like, him not keeping it real with you, that's not going to work. You being contradictory, you gaslighting him, you not loving yourself, that's never going to work in a relationship. That's just really all it comes down to. But she starts making faces again and doing all this, and he's catching up on it. He's getting pissed off, and he's like, see, this type of shit right here is what I'm not dealing with. And he then says, this is why I pick my battles, because I haven't reacted to you like this at all. I've never done this with you, which is a lie. You haven't done but whenever she was sitting there trying to pick your brain a couple episodes ago, and you was pretty much like giving her short answers and stuff, that's poor communication. Like, if you have an issue, address that shit and fully address it. Don't sit here. Like, they both kill me. They both kill me. But at this point, I wrote down, pack it up. Like, this is what y'all voted for. Like, we're sitting here. Final dates are supposed to be like, we're recapping our journey. We're talking about what we're going to do in the outside world. We got this couple here literally rehashing the same shit they've been rehashing the last 2 or 3 episodes and still have not built the bridge to get over it. They haven't, because they don't like each other. And also, I can't unsee Tyler Perry. Somebody said that Chris looks like Tyler Perry online, and I cannot unsee it anymore. Every time I watch him, I'm like, that's Tyler Perry. But she then talks about how they're still getting to know each other, and they need to work on the physical aspects, and she's not sure if they'll work on it because of the long distance. He's living overseas, and she in North Carolina, so it's not really going to work. That also is another reason as to why it's not going to work. But she says that I like you and I want to continue, but I'm scared that I'll be disappointed. And he says, well, that sounds like you're just not confident in our connection. She's not, and neither are you. But she then says, because I've literally repeated myself, and he says, I've done the same. Y'all have. But he then says that he knows that he knows what she's leaning towards, And he's like, if that's what it is, just state it. Which basically, he's telling her to basically end it, which is what literally is about to happen. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But some girl comes out there to sing, which was so awkward because it was just like in the middle of some bullshit. And they're sitting there so awkwardly. And I started laughing. I was just like, this is what y'all wanted to see. Like, y'all don't like Ace and Chelley. Chelley, I don't understand why y'all don't like Chelley. I understand why people don't like Ace. And the people that still got in my comments trying to sit there and say, oh, race is not about, it's not about race. For some people, it's not. But like I said, it is for a lot. And I'm glad I just mentioned it so I can state it here because I won't be able to state it anymore besides when we go on live. Me and Elise going live on Tuesday to do a final thoughts. Have y'all seen what Cierra posted today on her Instagram of those DMs that she got? People telling her to off herself. They're going to call ICE on her family again, telling her, I hope you DIE. Like, I'm about to pull the shit up. Hold on. Because that was that's what I said. Y'all don't, like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, prioritize people's mental health. Yes, y'all can hold her accountable. Like I said, hold her accountable for what she said. Sitting here combating racism with racism is stupid. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? But let me go back and read it, though. Because this is crazy. Said, I'm going to call ICE on your family. Going on Love Island was the biggest mistake of your life. You're such a flop. I hope you DIE. Next time I see you in LA with some pistols, I'm going to KIL you and your family. You stupid bitch. I hope your duck licked. What is wrong with y'all? Like, what literally is wrong with y'all? Like, that's not okay. That's not okay. Like, that is so crazy to me. And that's why I got on here and said her mental health does matter. People got on here stating, oh, well, she said this and her mental health. She's taking accountability for it. Whether we feel like it's genuine or not, it doesn't matter. She still took accountability for it. At that point, she apologized. Let her actions speak for themselves. Going forward, she did what she was supposed to do. She apologized. She took accountability. And now let her move on. Let her move on. You can hold her accountable for the actions, but to continue to sit in there and literally send her death threats, be racist towards her, which proves it never was the racism that y'all had an issue with. It's because y'all saw her in the way of your plan. And that could go to the hood rats, seeing her as a threat. It could go to the Nicolas. And when I'm stating this, if it don't apply to you, you wouldn't be bothered by it. There's some people out here that wanted her out because they felt like they couldn't have their agenda with Nicolandria. And I'm stating this because you go look in her comments. Why do I see pictures of Nicolandria in her comments? You wouldn't post that if you didn't want her to be upset about them being together because you had an ulterior motive. Like, it's crazy to me. Sorry I went off on a tangent, but I had to get that out. But the girl, she's out there singing. And like I said, nothing about this is giving Love Island. But she finishes the performance. And Huda then tells him that they should just be friends. I was like, finally. And he was like, I already knew. And he was like, I was just waiting on you to state it. So she then says, are we able to hang out, though, around the villa? Like, let's not be weird. Can we act normal? He says, no. I started laughing. He said, I mean, I won't have hatred towards you, but I got to not like you anymore. Like, we're not going to be friends. Like, that's just what it is. You can't tell me I want to break up with you, but we can still be friends. No, I don't have to be your friend. I don't. Even though we're in the show, I don't. So she says, okay. And he gets up to walk away and she starts crying. So then he comes back and asks her why she's crying. Like, are you ready to go? And she's like, do you want to carry me? Because there's water. Do you want to carry me or do you want me to walk? I said, be for real, Huda. Be for real. He then asked her again, why are you crying? And she said, because it's hard. And he was like, I mean, that's the decision you made. Hello? And she then insinuates again, are you going to pick me up and carry me? He says, I'm not doing it. I started laughing. And I really started laughing because he walked away again. And Huda, with her dramatic ass, takes her heels off one at a time. Takes it off. Goes back to the table, gets the bottle, and pours her one, and then walks off crying. I said, this is ghetto. And they were playing Moon River. I said, this is so crazy. Crazy. But Amaya and Bryan, they get their text about their day. Everybody's cheering, excited for them. They're getting ready. They both look good. And she's like, I'm the Dominican Cinderella. And they head off. Nicolandria and Iris and Pepe, they're sitting there waiting on Huda and Chris to come in. And then they finally come in and everybody can sense the tension. Like, it's clear as day. And they're like, ah, shit. So the girls go off. The boys go off. Huda tells Olandria and Chris that Olandria ends up telling her that she noticed that she was crying. Because you can tell when somebody's crying. You can see it in their eyes. But they start comforting her, and Huda's pretty much talking about how she brought up everything that she had the issue with him, about him not initiating physicality, and she wants a man that's obsessed with her, yada yada yada. And she pretty much tells him, like, I mean, I ended it. Like, that's just what it was. And Chris is over there telling them the same thing. And he tells Nick and Pepe that he came in to resolve it. And she just stated that she wanted to be friends. He saw the red flags, so he'll find him the right woman. I said, so you saw the red flags and you still decided to run straight into it, which proves why, like you stated, you always attract emotionally unstable women, because you're a red flag yourself. Because if you see red flags, why are you going to continue to explore? Crazy. But in this moment, I said they should go home. This should be disqualification for the finals. Because if you're in the finals, you should be a couple. So if y'all are not a couple, y'all are just friends, y'all need to go home. That's what I was thinking. But of course they didn't. But she then states that she feels like she handled it well because she didn't yell. I'm like, yeah, you didn't yell, but you still was the same Huda. You still was the same Huda. But Iris says, like, you're handling your emotions well. Olandria pretty much gives her props too and says this is not the Huda from a few weeks ago. And she's proud of her. I said it is the same Huda. It's just she didn't really like Chris. Because if she really liked Chris, she would have crashed out. Like, let's keep it real. But Bryan and Amaya, they had their day, and their day was really, it just gave off winner. I knew they were winning when I watched this. But they have like a home set up, and they have champagne, a spread, and she's talking about how she feels like the Dominican Cinderella who found her glass slipper, and they go through a scrapbook. I love this. They had a scrapbook of them as kids from toddler age to teenage age to where they are currently. And they just went through those, talking about memories and stuff, and they still have so many commonalities. Like, her mom had her at 19 years old, made so many sacrifices for her. That's why they're so close. You can tell most kids that have parents that had them young, in most cases, are really, really close with them. It's like where they kind of look like best friends or like brother-sister type relationship. So you can tell how much she loves her mom. She starts crying, seeing a picture of her dad and her brothers. I thought in the moment that I'm like, did her dad pass? Because I'm like, the way she was emotional when her mom came too, I was like, the way it's coming off, it made it seem like he might have passed, because she also has a stepdad too. So I'm like, clearly they're not together, but it seems like he's okay and he's still alive. I'm thinking he might. I'm not accusing this, but I feel like something, either he might be battling something to where he can't be here or something. I don't know. But regardless, she's really emotional talking about him. She cries talking about how in her heart she knows that her dad will be proud of her and is proud of her and the connection that she has with Bryan. So she then talks about how family oriented he is, how much she loves, like the things that she loves about him. And he then states that I know I haven't met him yet, but I know how proud he is of you. But they then get to the pictures of them together. They talk about how their best moments in that villa were with each other. She talks about how much she hasn't really cried with him in a sad moment. Like, her crying has always been happy moments with Bryan. And she tells him, like, I do my hair. This was funny. She said, I do my hair to go to bed, aka like, I'm still trying to impress you. And he was like, since you snitched on yourself, I'm gonna let you know, like, whenever they told me we was gonna take a picture, that one day I put extra cologne on. Cute moments. But he then states that I'm all over the place, y'all. They was kissing, and she starts talking about how much she loved him standing up for her in the Stand on Business challenge, which I did too. That's when I knew once they locked in, they was gonna win. I said, this is my winners right here. But he then says every time he talks to her, she lifts his energy, which, like I said all season, she's that type of person that you want to be around. She has such good vibes. Yes, she's super emotional. She cries a lot. That can be annoying. But at the core, she is a good person. You can tell how much she just loves making people feel good. And you want somebody like that around you. And he says that. He's like, I smile when I'm with you, and that's what I need in my life. It's all smiles between the two of them. They take a picture for their final memory, and he then tells her, essentially in so many words, how much she means to him and how he appreciates her. He values her being herself, and he wants to be exclusive with her to let her know that he wants to prioritize them and continue attacking the outside world together. Good for them. Love it for him. I hope it works out for him. I really, really do. Like, these two people, I actually like. There's not too many people on this season that I can say that I truly like. These two people as individuals, I enjoy them as individuals, and I enjoy them as a couple. But she agrees to it. They kiss, they slow dance, and she thanks him for letting her be her. And like I said, that's my winners. Those are my winners. But they come back, everybody's cheering. They fill them in on their date and them pretty much closing off and being exclusive. Exclusive is the new word. That's the new word. It's not closed off for this season. They didn't even mention closed off. If I'm remembering correctly, they mentioned exclusive. So I was getting nervous. I'm like, they're my winners, but y'all know the exclusive curse. Like Taylor and Clarke got exclusive, kicked out. Ace and Shelley exclusive, kicked out. I was like, these better not be the losers. They better not come in fourth place. But they tell them about the date and everything. Bryan ends up telling everybody that they made it exclusive, yada, yada, yada. So he then asks about Chris and Huda's date. And Huda's like, I mean, we talked about what was best for us, and it's to be friends. They all agree at this point what's best is y'all being happy. And if that's what makes y'all happy, it is what it is. So they all head off to bed for the last time, and Chris goes to sleep in soul ties. I said, so there's like 3 other open beds, and you decide to go sleep upstairs outside in Fiji where you got all these mosquitoes that's probably going to eat you up. And Huda was like, because Amaya ended up asking, like, what happened? And Huda's like, I don't know. He's just being dramatic because we didn't end on bad terms. I wouldn't say it was bad terms. I wouldn't say it was good terms, but I don't think it was like terrible terms. But like, he definitely is being dramatic though. Because going to sleep in soul ties when there are 3 other beds in that room, you're crazy. I wish I would go sleep in soul ties when there's other beds in that room. But everybody's waking up. Bryan ends up asking Chris if it's fixable between him and Huda. No, it's not. And Chris said, fuck no, that's cooked. Like deep fried. I died laughing. But the girls go for their R&R. As y'all already know, it happens every season. They go ahead and get massages and get themselves looking really, really good for the finals. It's the results time. Everybody comes in. Everybody's looking good. The ones that look like winners to me were Nick and Olandria. That gold suit Nick had on was tough. Olandria looked very, very royal. Like, she looked very regal. They looked like winners. Amaya and Bryan looked good, too. But the final, it's the vows and stuff. Iris and Pepe, they had theirs. Amaya and Bryan, very, very, very sentimental. They were pretty much talking about the same stuff that they stated plenty of times before. How she appreciated him allowing her to be her. And him pretty much stating, I wanted to provide you that safe space. And in turn, you provided that for me, too. Love that for them. They get emotional. He finishes his speech speaking Spanish. Like, they both have really, really touching speeches. I was like, these are the winners. Huda and Chris, they actually had pretty touching speeches as well. Even though they pretty much wrapped it up with like, we're not together. We're not clearly going to be together. But you've shown me a lot of things. Excuse me. You've shown me a lot of things that I can work on. That's basically what it was. But yeah, she was crying because he made a speech that pretty much highlighted her as a mom too. I forgot to mention that in the last episode with the parents. Huda's moment with her daughter was her best moment on the show. Like, you can tell how much she loves that little girl. Even though I don't like how she came on here and was, I'm a mom. How about I have a daughter? How about I have a child? That's a better way of phrasing. Because when you say I'm a mom, it just feeds into that narcissistic vibe that you have. So just seeing her interact with her daughter, who was adorable. She's a very, very cute little girl. Seeing her just take in her daughter, getting emotional. That's what you want to see. You want to see those type of moments from Huda. So that was good. I do feel like she probably is a good mom. Like, I'm not her biggest fan, but you can see how much she takes being a mom serious, considering how she acted in that damn challenge. So I don't doubt that she's a good mom. But they gave good speeches. Nick and Olandria also gave good speeches. Theirs pretty much wrapped up their experience and how they pretty much want to get to know each other on the outside. Ariana comes in and we get to the results. She congratulates them for being in the finals. 4th place was Iris and Pepe. As it should have been. They should have been gone. Huda and Chris should have been gone. They were 3rd place. They both were shocked. They're like, I don't even know how we even got to 3rd place. Neither do I. Honestly, I don't. But top 2 was Olandria and Nick and Amaya and Bryan. And like I told y'all Friday night, that was who I wanted it to come from. Me personally, I love me Olandria. I would have loved Olandria to get that $100,000. But I can't give it to Nick. I can't give it to Nick. Like what I was telling y'all, I wanted Ace and Shelley, how I was mad about them not being in the finals. They still were not going to get my vote because I can't, like I told y'all, I cannot give Ace a vote. I can't. Even though I was literally going back and forth with them getting my vote, Ace, Nick, and Taylor were not getting my votes. They weren't. And I told y'all the night that I made that point, anybody attached to them was not going to get my vote. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it unless it came to real connections not being in the finals. But second place is Olandria and Nick. They were second place. Amaya and Bryan have won. Very excited for both of them. Of course, Amaya gets the zoomies. She does a lap with Bryan around the villa. And we get to the point where we get the envelopes. Well, before we get the envelopes, Amaya made a very, very powerful statement talking about people that are misunderstood. Don't make it seem like it's a bad thing to be you. If you're misunderstood, there's somebody out here for you. That just the person that's misunderstanding you just ain't your person. And she was not lying. But Bryan talks about how Amaya had pretty much turned his experience around and he'd do it 100 times over again. But we get to the envelopes, and the envelopes, one was given to Amaya, one was given to Bryan. Amaya had zip. Bryan had the 100K. And of course, Bryan, being the dude that I knew he was, he split the money with Amaya. Good. Good ending to a terrible season. And when I say terrible, it's in the sense of Love Island. Like, where was the love? Where was that? It was an entertaining season, though. I will state that it was. But the fans, disgusting. Y'all are part of the reason, probably the largest part of the reason as to why this season sucked. Because of racism, which I've experienced myself, people get in the comments talking about something, well, it's not always about racism. It is. Because if I'm getting called an Nigger, what do you think they are getting called? 10 times worse than me. Like, y'all, it's only 11,000 of y'all, 12,000 of y'all that know I exist. There's millions, billions of people that know these people. And you think if I'm getting it, they're not getting it 10 times. Be for real. That's what I hope changes for season 8. And hopefully don't transfer over into Love Island games. But I'll be there. But I'm going to really be for Beyond the Villa tomorrow. Check in. Me and Elise going to go live on Tuesday, probably 8ish or 9 p.m. So just turn your post notifications on. We're going to debunk the finale as well, everything that happened prior, and do a final season recap. But yeah, it is. You see it, 12:28. I'm going to bed once I drop this, and I'm blurry. So bye, y'all. Shout out to y'all for showing me love as always. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.